Hello, fellow trappers and hunters. Glad you can make it to the trap line. We've been having some coyotes show up with the mange, so a good friend of mine, Colin, and I are gonna go see if we can thin him out. So follow along. Hope you enjoy.
I was having coffee with a few people in a local cafe. They weren't my usual coffee crowd, but a friendly bunch just the same. Or so I thought. When the subject came up about the great outdoors, which usually does when I'm around, the nature film I was working on came into the conversation. The response was very positive, with a few inquiries even as to how they may get to see it, and what was the title. So I told them with great enthusiasm. The title is, Happiness is a Steaming Gut Pile. Well, that's when the coffee talk started to go a little south. I guess I was talking to the wrong crowd. So I started explaining nervously where I was going with this and how everybody was happy about this gut pile, but I couldn't get a word in to save my life. So I listened patiently for 2 seconds and told them that this video was not for them. Then I clammed up and hoped that the profanities directed my way would tone down and these nice people sitting nearby could enjoy their lunch. A couple friends of mine, Phil and Dale, had just gotten an elk. So I asked them the location that they had tagged their prize and went to check on the spot the next day. There were so many coyote tracks there that I couldn't believe it. So I got a hold of a trapping buddy of mine, Colin, and asked if he wanted to go after some coyotes. Of course, he was game. So we started collecting butcher scraps, roadkill, deer and moose hides and what have you, and we started to add to the green spot that was left behind from the party at the gut pile the night before. Well, in a few days we had trails into the willow patch like you wouldn't believe, so Colin got right after it and started to cover as many trails as we had snares, and I left him to it and spread out to look for wolf tracks. I had seen some tracks earlier in the season and thought what self-respecting wolf wouldn't be around here now. Me and Colin don't do a whole lot of talking out here, and I'll tell you why. Because the camera's on, and we're not actors. Plus, he's too cranky. Colin's taking this way too serious. He's really getting them coyotes. I mean, I'm getting a few, but he's just slaying them. I'm just being stubborn looking for wolf sign and setting snares for them, but with no success. I think it's about time I had a visit with my old dad and get some tips off him. He used to get them all the time when he lived up in this neck of the woods. I better get busy after the coyotes or I won't even have a good payday. Sometimes when I'm out here, I get thinking about our freedoms as hunters and trappers. It's been a way of life for me right out of the gate. Which brings to mind this liberal politician, Sheila Cobb. She famously said, "The Canadians have no culture." I guess we are a group she does not want to recognize. I'm seeing they are promoting a new culture though. We all throw on a pair of leotards and start prancing around in parades. And I guess we have to like this new culture because now it's against the law to disagree with it. When I look back on my father and my grandfathers, I see the fur trade was a huge part of Canada's past as we settled. Furs were legal tender and maybe still are. The nickel still has the beaver on it. I'm just saying. In the real world, nature is not like a cartoon, like it seems most people in this new culture think. This is my take on it. If this sharp-tailed grouse was going to say anything at all, he'd probably say, "Better that mouse than me." The coyote would say, "Do all the wiggling and screaming you want, I'm still going to eat ya." Then it comes to me. I'd say, "You better watch your step, Mr. Coyote, or you'll end up in some trapper's skinning shed being pinned to a stretching board." Now, I don't mean to offend or scare anybody here, but sorry to say, folks, nobody gets off this rock alive. And if you did a little reading in the good book, you'd start to understand why. A biologist, Joe Brown, in the early 1900s, introduced a mite of some kind to the coyote and wolf population to kill them off. Today this is known as the mange. I don't really know if it shows up due to overpopulation in the coyotes or not, but I see more of them when the population is thicker.
You see, if these coyotes get too thick, they get the mange. And bunch of them die off. So I think we're after them right in the nick of time.
This mite cleans the fur off the animal, and they end up being quite a sight.
Getting a few of them out of this spot here. Another. Doesn't look the greatest, but should get something for them anyways.
They also die a slow and cruel death.
This one's a lot nicer. So that there one, they're caught in the same vicinity.
Yeah, this one's a lot nicer.
Well, I didn't show you guys a steamy gut pile, but I think you got the message. So until next time, happy hunting and trapping. God bless.